kingdom. Part of the reason I wanted to include kingdoms in the world of Defy the Night is that I find that in writing fantasy, especially in writing fantasy for young people, you're able to really explore the dynamics of the responsibilities that rulers may have to their people in a really fun and accessible way. It can be really boring and slow to read about politics, to read about, interpersonal things that might be happening among, the leaders of the world. But sometimes when we break things down and put them into a story, it can be a lot of fun to read about ordinary, everyday people trying to figure out what they need to do to survive and overcome things that they might feel powerless against. And I had a tremendous amount of fun developing the kingdom of Kandala and writing about King Harriston and Prince Corric, and then also writing about the people in the wilds like Tessa and what she felt like she had to do. Fever. When I started developing the idea for Defy the Night, I knew that I really wanted to write an outlaw story. And one of my initial inspirations was probably stories like Robin Hood. But I didn't want to do money. And I started thinking about the inequalities and access to healthcare in the United States. And there was a friend who had shared a GoFundMe on Facebook, and I'm not sure if that translates in France, but it's a crowdfunding platform where people will try to raise money. And someone had shared that for a neighbor who was trying to raise funds for chemotherapy to treat cancer. And it started making me think about illness and sickness and what things people will do to help each other in their community, especially when it comes to being sick or being ill. And from there, the idea of the illness and the elixir and the moonflower was born. Outlaws. I have always loved outlaw stories. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved Robin Hood, I loved Zorro. Anytime we got to see someone who felt like they couldn't do the right thing unless they put on a mask and hid their identity, I loved the moral complexities of that, and I knew immediately that I wanted to write an outlaw story. And I didn't just want to do one person, I wanted to have a couple outlaws, and from there I created Tessa, and once I needed to give her a partner in crime, I created Weston Lark, and I had so much fun putting them on the page. Inequalities. When I was writing the story, I wanted to make sure that I was portraying people from a lot of different levels in life, a lot of different stations. So I have Prince Corric, who is quite possibly at the very top of society, one of the royal elites. And then I have Tessa, who lives in the wilds. She lives among people who are truly, truly struggling. They don't have access to medicine. Sometimes they don't have access to food or education. Being able to write the story in such a way lets me really write about people from different perspectives and being able to show how they are going to attack a problem differently because of how they're raised. And again, that really kind of relates to the way we live in today's society, where no two people come from the same background. Point of view. In almost all of my stories, I have had the opportunity to write everything from 2 or more characters' points of view. It is so much fun for me as an author to tell a story from multiple perspectives. The very first book I remember writing, I was not writing from multiple points of view. I was just writing from a female perspective, and the entire story was flowing along. And I remember I kept thinking, I want to write from someone else's side. And my husband encouraged me to give it a try, and I am so, so glad that he did, because it opened up a whole new world of writing for me. And in Defy the Night, it came very naturally to tell the story both from Prince Corric's point of view and show how the world looked through his eyes, as well as telling the story from Tessa's point of view, because she sees the kingdom of Kandala so very, very differently from the prince.